All right, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing another Walking Dead video for today, leading up to the 11th episode for The Walking Dead Season 9. In this one, we're going to give our thoughts before Q&A on Chandler Riggs' recent comments about Carl and apologizing for his performance. And spoiler warning, if you guys are not caught up for The Walking Dead, which is up to The Walking Dead Season 9, Episode 10. Yeah, great stuff. You can see I went insane. I shaved my head, so not well. I just buzzed it when I had time. But yeah, so I read this one online, and I definitely wanted to give my thoughts on it before we get into today's Q&A and give our thoughts on everything you guys want to talk about. And keep sending me your questions for the Q&As, guys. And we'll go through with, we can talk about whatever you want related to The Walking Dead before episode 11 hits. So this one was pretty surprising to me to read this one. Link will be in the description, comicbook.com. And it's basically former The Walking Dead star Chandler Riggs said that he, quote, sucked when it mattered. And so I definitely wanted to give my thoughts on this one because Carl is one of the biggest characters The Walking Dead has ever had. And even though he was killed off in Season 8, he's still going in the comics, and he's maybe, can I say he's supposed to be the most important character in the whole show, because as you see things go through, eventually Rick's time comes to an end, as it did in the TV series, but we all expected to see Carl basically take over after that and go on forward. In the TV series, they threw us through a loop, and they had it sort of become Judith instead, and they used some clever 6-year time skip tactics and things like this to kind of make that somehow work or fit, and just nobody would have ever anticipated to see that. So that was quite a bit strange. But he is, I want to say, one of the most important characters even still in the history of The Walking Dead. And based on what we thought originally, he should have been probably the most important character in the whole show. Even eventually outlasting Rick and eventually kind of taking over as Rick's son. Afterwards. So, okay, so that's what it is. Here's what he had to say, and we'll give our thoughts on it. You guys can certainly leave your comments below and let me know what you thought about it or what you think. So he says, I've been rewatching The Walking Dead over the last couple of months, and I agree. LOL. I think I was decent for the first few years, but I definitely got lazy when I should have utilized the writers giving me more material. However, for seasons 4 to 7 and some of 8, I was putting the majority of my effort into school. Not trying to toot my own horn here, but I took like 10 AP classes throughout high school. For some dumbass reason, I guess I just wanted to hate myself even more and put a lot more effort into my education than into my craft. This is super evident as I'm watching my earlier lackluster performances. But in Season 8 specifically, in my last few episodes, is where I feel like I had my most impactful work. I wasn't focused on school since I had decided to move out to LA, and I wanted to leave a strong legacy for Carl on the show. Plus, going forward, I wanted to spend way more time expanding my abilities as an actor and make sure I live up to the standard I set for myself, and so far I have. These last few months have been extremely productive for my craft, and I feel my performances have become so much more powerful and include an amazing amount of depth. I'm super proud of them and really can't wait to show you guys. In hindsight, and in the best interest of the show, I do feel like if I didn't get killed off, things would have not gotten better on my end, and The Walking Dead would have been better off recasting Carl. Don't get me wrong, I loved everything about playing Carl, and it would have been really awesome to play out all of those storylines, but I would have been juggling college and the show, and my performances would suffer because of it, as shown when I was in high school. Wow, this got super long-winded. Sorry, LOL, but TLDR, yeah, I sucked when it mattered, and I'm a good actor now. I promise. Please, someone hire me. Wow, so definitely leave your comments below. Let me know what you guys think about this. There are a lot of people who did not like Carl's sort of, I don't know if I want to say Chandler Riggs' performance as Carl. They didn't like to see the way that he portrayed the character in the TV series. Now, I did lots of videos on this one, specifically comparing the comic book series version of Carl to the TV series version. But I almost feel like hardly any of that is really Chandler Riggs' fault. I mean, almost none. Because when you look at the specifics of how the character progressed throughout the TV series version, For example, in the comic book series version, you have their equivalent of Lizzie and Mika. If you guys remember season 4 with Tyrese and the Grove and Carol and that kind of stuff, there's a critical moment in there that Carol tells Lizzie to look at the flowers because of what she did to her sister. Well, this is and puts her down basically. This is adapted from the comic book series version, but in the comic book series version, Carl is the one who does that. So Carl is the one who puts down Ben, I believe, for killing his brother in the same kind of way. But basically, in the comic book series version, everybody is struggling with the fact that they have this kid who's just killed his brother, and he looks like a little psycho, and he might be too far gone. They're not sure how to handle this. They're not sure what to do about it. Carl takes matters into his own hands, and while everyone is sleeping, he kills the kid. So he does away with it. So he steps up and does that when no one else is willing to do that. In the TV series version, it's Carol. So this is a lot different, right? The TV series version, without that critical moment where Carl has actually gone to the extent of doing what no one else was willing to do in order to better the group, and show how ruthless and cutthroat he can be and aggressive and vicious he can be at sometimes, kind of that darker side of Carl. Without that side having been established in the television series version, it never came in. And with him being surrounded by a lot of other actors such as Stephen Yeun, who played an awesome, really heartfelt version of Glenn, and Tyrese, who played a version of a heroic type of character, which was also a lot different than the comics. Chad Coleman putting a lot of heart into that character. You see the way kind of Carl progressed in the TV series version over the years. And personally, I just thought he was sort of more like them. He was more like a good guy, heartfelt kind of survivor. He didn't have a lot of arguments with Rick. He didn't stay in the house, but he didn't have a lot of times where he disagreed with Rick or he was rebellious against Rick. He just seemed like, to me, kind of a good guy version of Carl in the TV series, which it was disappointing that we didn't get to see kind of that sort of super rebellious, mad at the world kind of comic book series version of Carl. We never got to see that in the TV series because the version of the TV series was a lot different. But similarly, in a lot of ways, if you look at the comic book series version of Tyrese, he was a lot more aggressive. He was a lot more, him and Rick get in the fight and that. And the TV series, they did, they changed it up a lot, but they did it in such a way where it was, Chad Coleman's version of Tyrese just was, he seemed like a lot more better of a guy. And even if he went crazy there and there was that with Daryl and Rick and everything like that, the comic book series version seemed to be a lot more, as I was reading it through anyway, and the way I took away that character seemed to be a lot more of kind of a vicious, darker type of character. And Carl's the same way. Carl in the TV series, even in season 8, in his last season there, he goes out as a hero. He goes out there trying to help people. So I kind of look at it like the TV series version of Carl was a good guy version of Carl. It was a Glenn-esque version of Carl, to where him and Rick, sometimes they had disagreements, but it wasn't anything crazy. There was never a time when Carl took matters into his own hands and the TV series went out and killed somebody, or there was the stuff where he went after Negan, and sure, maybe in season 7 that didn't translate that well, so maybe during that time was a time where he was given an opportunity to shine, and maybe that's what he's referring to when he goes after Negan, and he got a chance to kind of do that more kind of vicious side of him, and it didn't translate that well. Was that entirely his fault? Was that because of the progression of the character and that he never really got there prior? So when he went after him, we didn't really buy it as much. Maybe. Is that why they killed him off? Geez, man. I don't know. So this is the way I look at this. This is the way I interpret this, is that people emotionally, they respond completely differently when they're winning and when they're losing, right? So if something is going your way, your confidence is going to be up. You're not going to be guessing yourself. You're going to be reaffirming your beliefs in yourself. You're going to reaffirm the way you feel. You're going to be like, yes, I won whatever because I'm awesome. I'm awesome. That's why I did it. This is what people do. So this is the kind of stuff people say during bull runs or during good times in their life. When things are going well, everything's going good, maybe their job's going well, they just got a promotion. It reaffirms, let's say, their confidence in themselves. Whereas the opposite also happens when things don't go well for a particular person. They start to question themselves. They lose their confidence. they start to kind of get down on themselves. They start to question. I really don't know if any of this really would have had any impact at all. It's almost like no matter how much effort he put into it, it's very possible he could have been killed off anyway. Because as we just went off in the video yesterday or the day before, Angela Kang explained that they can't assume that they're going to get a certain amount of seasons in the future. They have to put in the best stuff they can now, which means that they're going to put in big character deaths, more in the comics or more in the TV series than they did in the comics, because they want to keep people watching. They want the show to still be hot. So if they feel like All Out War doesn't have enough there, they're going to throw in a big death for Carl. Or if they feel like the Whisperers need to have a big introduction, they're going to kill off Jesus. So what we see more character deaths more often, more quickly in the television series version than we ever did in the comics, because there's more pressure on the showrunners, there's more pressure on people there to create great seasons and to have big moments and to do that kind of stuff and keep people watching. And, so that's kind of the way it goes anyway. So it's very possible that, no matter how good his performance was or wasn't, that might have just happened anyway. There's no telling for us that, they did that or Gimple did that specifically because, and I'm sure it wasn't just him by himself, I'm sure there was other people involved in the discussion for the show, the writing team and everybody. But, it's very possible, no matter how good Chandler Riggs was, they might have just done that anyway. So, it's definitely for him to kind of take responsibility in this kind of way. You can definitely sit there and say, well, okay, maybe if his performance was better, things would have been better in season 7 specifically, or whatever. He said 4 through 7. I didn't think it was all that bad. I just thought that it was a different version. He's just a kid. He's got other stuff going on. He's got to go to school, and he's got this other stuff here. Maybe is there some more details behind the scenes we haven't heard about? Was maybe Gimple more upset because he was planning on going to college and that kind of thing and doing both at the same time, and Gimple just wanted him to work in the TV series by itself? I don't know. Was it because there was the contract, and so they would have had to pay him more, and the contract was up and around that time, and he had re-signed for, I think, a couple years or something? Geez, man, I don't know. It's really hard to tell the way things would have worked out, anyway. But to me, it just speaks to the way people emotionally change and they interpret things when they're doing well. When they're not, they always blame themselves. But sometimes it's just the market. You can't always just blame yourself and say that, well, it's because I didn't do good enough. That's why he killed me off. Maybe not. Maybe if you'd have done, the best ever, he still might have killed you off, right? I mean, it's hard to tell, right? It's really hard to tell. Carol was almost killed off, and then they switched at the last moment, and I think Sarah Wayne Callies was involved with talking them out of doing that, right? Talking them out of killing Carol. They almost killed Carol. They got maybe a little too trigger happy in season 3, and they decided to go with T-Dog instead, which worked out well for the series because she had so many awesome parts after that. And it wouldn't have been the same if T-Dog had been given those parts, like a lot of those heroic moments where she was this victim and then she overcame that, fought back, and became this just powerhouse of a woman. It's a better story than just Iron Singleton, who's bulky anyway. It looks like he could kick some ass anyway, going on forward and saving everybody and stuff, which would have been cool anyway. But I think you guys get what I'm saying. So personally for me, I'm kind of sad to read it because personally for me, I didn't think it was really that bad. Like, I know there was a lot of people who kind of hated on that, or they trolled about it online and stuff like that, his performance, specifically in season 7. So maybe you could say that the stuff between him and Negan didn't translate in the TV series version as well as it did in the comics. And maybe that's, part of the reason why they decided to do it. I don't know. But honestly, I don't think it was that bad. And maybe it's just the way they had gone down with the character, making him kind of the good guy version of Carl, not like the comics, which was a lot darker version. Maybe they just felt like, this character is not really what the show needs, or it's not dramatic enough, or I'm not sure. Simple good guy character can get kind of boring sometimes, I guess. But personally for me, like, just to him, it's like, don't take it too personal, because you have no idea if you'd have worked all the time on it and done the best you possibly, they might have done exactly the same thing anyway. So it's no telling. But anyway, let me know what you guys think. Leave your comments below on that one. And I just say that, emotionally, that's what people do, right? Psychologically, that's what people do. They always blame themselves when things don't work out, right? And it's like, how do you know? It might have been exactly the same, even if you'd have been like the best they could find. It might not have mattered anyway. So let me know what you guys think. Leave your comments below. Some questions for today for the Q&A. Diana Rainey says SVU has had 20 years or has 20 years. Yay. So when we were comparing series and how long they were running for before, and The Walking Dead running to 10 years now. Well, the thing is, again, like I said in the other video too, it's great for any series if it can get 20 years. If it can run for that long is amazing. But there's certain kinds of series that can probably do it pretty easily. Those episodic stories like that, where every episode is just like a different kind of run-of-the-mill kind of stuff. Like The Simpsons. The Simpsons could run for 100 years or something. Who knows? Or 50 years or something. And they'll still be like, are they still the same age as they ever were? Because I haven't watched Simpsons in like over a decade myself. But not to hate on The Simpsons. I love, everybody loves The Simpsons. But, it's just like, it's what it is. It's a lot of those series are going to run long. Walking Dead you can't compare it at all because it's not even close to the same thing whatsoever. Love and Peace said, Angela has saved The Walking Dead. And that's probably true. She probably has actually saved The Walking Dead, It's difficult to find people that are going to be there for you, they're going to be there in the series, and are going to stick with it long term. And, she luckily is one that we have that stuck around with it and is still doing a great job. And I think we all appreciate that, as well as everybody else who's still working on the series and still, continuing on with it and putting in a lot of hard work to make it continue. And I think we all really appreciate that. Eric Johnson said, also would love to see, Trev, your first episode review. Can you repost it? So I don't need to repost it. If you guys want to watch any of my reviews for any episode of The Walking Dead, they are all in the channel still. You can watch them to this day. Just go to the channel, click the channel name below, and just use the search tool and type in the episode name, and you'll find it. You might find a whole bunch of other stuff, too, because we've done lots of stuff discussing different episodes. But all the reviews are there, every episode reviewed. I don't think it's missing a single one. So if you want to watch any of my reviews for any prior seasons or episodes, they're all on the channel. Check them out, no problem. Michael Thompson says, hey, Trev, Q&A, is Jerry still in The Walking Dead? I have not seen him since earlier on in the season. So, yes, he is, and we're going to see him in this episode. We're going to see him in episode 11 in the preview pictures they showed. He's in them. So we're going to see him in the Kingdom and Ezekiel and Carol. And so, yeah, they're going to be in, Sunday night's episode 11. Meta Orange says, sorry, Alpha was very underwhelming in her first unmasked appearance. I thought she was pretty awesome. I thought she was pretty intense and she looked pretty scary. And maybe she looks even more scary without the mask on than with it on. Personally, I just think she looks really scary with it. But I guess to each their own. Bear Interrupted said, I don't care if no one agrees, Season 9 is the best. So he's got Season 9 is the best season. It's so hard to decide, right? Everyone's got their different favorites, but it's really good. It's done really good so far, and it's continuing to be really good. Tyler the Defiler, I like the name, he says, Alpha is so effing ugly in the TV show, completely ruined. It depends, man. The question is she supposed to be ugly? Or do you think Alpha should be good looking in some way? If you think about it, they're living in the mud, they're eating worms, they're covering themselves in the dead, and, she's a villain. She's a straight hardcore villain. Maybe she shouldn't be good looking. Maybe she should be ugly like a horror movie character is. So, I don't know. It's leave a comment about that one too. What do you guys think? Do you think that Alpha looks right because you want her to be ugly and just evil? Or would you like to see them choose somebody who maybe he would find more attractive? I don't know. Sally Collins says, did Daryl always have the tattoo on his hand? So, no, I don't think so, and I could be mistaken in that, but I think that was this year, right? This year he got that tattoo for Season 9 at some time during this year. And, I don't think he used to have that, right? He'd have a lot of the cigarette, burns from doing that to himself after Beth and stuff, but no, I don't. I don't think he used to have that. I could be wrong. Dixie Normus, which I like his name. It's fun. It says thumbnail looks like Darth Vader when Luke took his mask off in Return of the Jedi of Alpha, where she's holding the mask, and we talked about the ratings going down. And you see her face, and I never thought about that. She does look like a female Darth Vader. That's hilarious. I never realized that when I was looking at it through. I never thought she's like a female Darth Vader. Yeah, she is like a female Darth Vader. Look at Darth Vader once he takes the stuff off and you see his face and everything. She looks exactly like a female version of that. That's really funny. So that'll be it for today's video, guys. Let me know what you think. I'm kind of saddened by this one because I don't think Chandler Riggs should really be holding himself, accountable for this and be so hard on himself. Geez, man, like I said, it could have all gone down exactly the same way no matter how good he was, whatever. So I don't know. Let me know, or do you guys think maybe he's totally on base here and his acting was really that bad that they had to kill him off? I don't know, man. I'm in the middle, but I think people really shouldn't do that to themselves when things don't work out. Sometimes you can't absolutely beat yourself up about it and think that it was totally your fault completely. It's like sometimes you do everything right, and then in the end it just doesn't work out anyway, and it's like you can't blame yourself for that. A lot of times it's the situation. So let me know what you guys think. Leave your comments below. If you liked the video today, thumb it up below, share, favorite, and if you're new and you want to subscribe, bottom left to subscribe. That's it for this one. I'll see you guys again soon for another video. As always, it's Trev, and I'm saying peace. Later, guys. See you soon.